The Rebbe spoke both nights of Rish Chodesh. He spoke on the first night Rish Chodesh, and then he spoke again on the second night Rish Chodesh. And we will begin from Ois Aleph. Yom Sheni the Rish Chodesh El, the second day of the head of the month of El. In other words, the second day Rish Chodesh. Sha'oim de Mata B'Tchilase. The Rebbe was then saying the Sicha at the night going into the second day of Rish Chodesh. It's the first day of the counting of the month of El, because since we know that the first day of Rish Chodesh is the 30th day of, so the second day of Rish Chodesh is the first day of Aleph El, is the first day of the month of El. It's the beginning of the period of the last 40 days that Moshe Rabbeinu went up on Har Sinai 3 times 40, first 40 to get the luchis, the second 40 to be able to petition Hashem that he shouldn't destroy the Eden, and the third 40 was to finalize the forgiveness and to receive the final luchis. And the Chazal say that the final days are likened to the first 40 days, that Achroinim Berotzen, that the final 40 days that Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai, that corresponds to the last, these days right now, not these days right now, but starting from the first day of El, were in a way that Hashem wanted and desired the Jewish people, and so on. Shas Chalosim B'Chodesh El, that they begin on the first of El, and they conclude on Yom Kippur, which is known as Achas B'Shana, the first day, the single day, the one day of the year, the unique day of the year, when Hashem was finally and completely appeased to the Yidden with joy and a complete heart. And he said, I have forgiven as you have said. From this understood that on Rish Chodesh El Maschila Kvar Hamayla Vashlemis Yom Kippurim begins already the advantage and perfection of Yom Kippur, Me'ein V'dugmas Hashlemis Telasid Lovish, similar to the perfection and the completion of Moshiach's times. Moshiach's times and Yom Kippur Yidden are above the world and a very high spiritual state and so on. But as we're soon going to speak about, but the Geulah has a further thing that we are manifesting it more in this world. From the unique matters of Yom Kippur, should be Yom Zadayim Kol Yisrael Malachim. That in this day of Yom Kippur, Yidden are likened to Malachim. Kolomer means to say, Shleimus Ruchni is the perfection of spirituality. The way it's drawn down and becomes revealed by souls and bodies in this physical world. Because normally souls in this physical world have need for physical sustenance and so on. And in Yom Kippur, we are as spiritual as the Malachim, as we give away and we relieve ourselves of eating and drinking and so on. In a similar vein to this idea takes place by Moshiach's times, it takes place in Yom Kippur, will take place in Moshiach's times. It's Shleimus Haruchnius, the ultimate level of spirituality. Because then it will become revealed, mamish, in a revealed way, the quality of the neshama, mamish, a part of Hashem above mamish, higher even the malachim. And along with the fact that we're higher than malachim, and we have this very high level, the level of godliness that's within us, totally the perfect level of spirituality. That the main redemption is in the physical world, to souls that are in bodies, not in Gan Eden, which is similar to Yom Kippur, that in this physical world we are as spiritual as malachim. Befrat al pi hayidu, especially according to what it's known, sheyom kippurim hu kippurim, that Yom Kippur is like Purim, kimoi Purim, v'simchas Purim kshurim in Yonei Aguf, and the joy of Purim, as opposed to Yom Kippur, is connected with matters pertaining to the body. Achilo, shtiya, shenasim, dama, basar, kibsari, eating and drinking, that the food becomes blood and flesh like his own flesh. Chelik maguf, it becomes a part of his body. To such a degree that this also adds in matters of the neshama, because when the body is sustained, so that it gives energy for the person to be able to do things that the neshama needs to get done. And this is also makes it similar to Moshiach's times, the level of Purim. Similar to what it says that when Moshiach comes, instead of the way it is now, that the soul sustains the body, when Moshiach comes, it's going to be the other way around, that the body is going to give sustenance to the soul. When Moshiach comes, will be emphasized the great advantage and quality of the physical. The way it is now, we look at spiritual as being the highest thing to attain, and the physical is something that is of a lesser import. It's only as much as the physical serves the spiritual. When Moshiach comes, we'll see the great advantage of the physical to such a degree that the neshama will be sustained by the physical. We're now going to skip over 2 pages to Ois Gimel, where the Rebbe connects this with our Parsha. So he says in Ois Gimel, right in the middle of the page, 3rd paragraph from the top, if I remember correctly, we can connect it with the Parsha of the week, according to the directive, that a person has to live with the times. And therefore, we have to live and apply what it says in the Parsha of the week. What does it begin with in the Parshas of the week? Shoftim v'shoftim tidin l'cha b'chol shorecha. Judges and officers you should place for you in all your gates. Hatziv v'shoftim v'shoftim tidin l'cha b'chol shorecha. This command, that judges and officers you should place in all your gates, shenamar b'lashon asid. It says it in future tense. Af shel kol ya'ala shoftim v'shoftim sheminu b'knisasim la'aretz b'chol shorecha. Though it's referring to the Shoftim and Shoftim that were appointed when they went into Eretz Yisrael, B'chol Sharecha, Aidei Yeshua. So already Yeshua was the one that was going to fulfill that command. So therefore it's understood that Moshe Rabbeinu, before Yeshua was appointed, was going to say it in future tense. V'yesh loymar, we could say, not only does this Shoftim v'Shoftim command spoken in the future tense refer to the Shoftim and Shoftim that Yeshua would appoint, Shekoilol Gam HaShoftim v'Shoftim Shenismanu Al Beit Moshe Rabbeinu. It also includes the judges and officers that were appointed by Moshe Rabbeinu. But the Mashiach message over here is future tense could mean also our future. Hareza Koilol Gam HaShoftim v'Shoftim the loss of love. Our parshas, including also the judges and officers of the future times. Won't be fulfilled the promise, what was foretold, that I will return your judges as they were at first. That's one point of our Parsha that's connected with the Geulah. Another point of our Parsha that's connected with the Geulah. Similarly, in the continuation of the Parsha and the command about the cities of refuge, it says 3 cities you should set aside for yourselves as being cities of refuge for someone that kills another unintentionally. Now, we know there was more than 3 cities. There was Gimel, Ha'arim, Sheberetz Canaan. Here we're referring to the 3 cities that were in the actual land of Canaan. Noisef ala Gimel, Ha'arim, She'idl, Moshe, Be'ever, HaYarden. In addition to the 3 cities that Moshe Rabbeinu set aside across the Yarden, skip to the end of the parentheses. And the pasuk in our parsha continues, If Hashem will broaden your boundary, in other words, He will extend Eretz Yisrael larger than what it is now, you will add for yourselves another 3 cities of refuge in addition to the 3 that's across the Yarden and the 3 that was made when they entered Eretz Yisrael. A third set of 3 would be added to the increased and larger size Eretz Yisrael. Gimel Adam, the 3 cities, top of the next page. That would be added when Moshiach comes in the lands of the 3 nations known Keni, Knizi, and Kadmoni. These would be having their own additional 3 cities. Moshe Rabbeinu was told about the 3 cities that would be added already in the times of Moshiach. The Rambam points out that here we have an explicit reference to the times of Mashiach in the written Torah, because he's speaking about that that he's talking about something that never took place in Jewish history and will only take place when Mashiach comes. Second paragraph. Since we are studying these matters in Torah, which is the Torah of truth, in other words, studying about the judges, and we're studying about the future cities of refuge that's going to be in Mashiach's times. The truth of truth is immediately when there is the command in the Torah and there's the study and speech, so then this occurs also in actuality, because the Rebbe in the footnote brings down that just like it says that Hashem looked in Torah and created the world, the same thing, a Yid, when he learns Torah, he does the same idea. So we are creating worlds, we are creating the reality of Mashiach by speaking about this in the Torah, by learning these things in the Torah. But we're going to say, I don't see it. The actual thing that's going to become revealed to eyes of flesh is going to occur when Mashiach comes. Additional to that, he says in Ois Daled, and this is primary, the speech and the study in Torah about the future redemption, as it says, whoever is involved in the Torah, which also includes the Torah of the future redemption, it speeds up and quickens even more so the actual redemption by studying the Torah that deals with the redemption. This is especially so by studying the laws of Melech Mashiach at the conclusion of the Rambam's magnum opus, known as Yad HaChazaka Mishnah Torah, in its final 2 chapters, Ad LaHalacha Achron, until we reach to the final halacha in the entire Rambam. In that time of Mashiach, there will not be any famine, not war. Negating all untoward and negative things, just the opposite. That good will be something that will be flowing in an unbelievable way. And the Rebbe says in a footnote, it's not just there won't be negative things, there won't even be the possibility for any negative things. Until the conclusion of that final halacha and the conclusion of the entire sefer of the Sefer Rambam, Shenemar, like it says, that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem like the waters cover the sea. He adds and he brings also the conclusion of the pasuk of Kimal Lord's Deus Hashem by bringing in the words like the waters covers the sea. He did not bring it in Hilchos Tshuva. There are 2 places in the Rambam that the Rambam discusses Mashiach's times. One place is in Hilchos Malachim, the final two chapters, like the Rebbe just now said, but also another place where he talks a lot about Moshiach's times, or at least relatively so in comparison to the rest of his Sefer, is in the halachas of tshuva, because in the halachas of tshuva he speaks about the rewards that the neshamas get, and he speaks about the reward of Moshiach's times, etc. So the Rebbe often, in many different places, compares certain differences that the Rambam speaks about certain concepts in Hilchos Tshuva, or additional elaboration that he will speak about in Hilchos Malachim. In our Sicha, the Rebbe is emphasizing that though in both places, in Hilchos Tshuva, Hilchos Tshuva is almost at the beginning of the Rambam. It's in the first of the 14 volumes of the Rambam, known as Sefer Hamada. Hilchos Malachim and the Melech Mashiach is all the way at the end of the Sefer Rambam. So, in both places, he quotes the pasuk that's in Yeshaya Navi, that says, Kimol haaretz de'es Hashem, that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem. But in Hilchos Tshuva, he only brings the first part of the pasuk, Kimol haaretz de'es Hashem, that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem. But the final part of the pasuk, Kamayim layom machasim, like the waters cover the sea, the degree how much the knowledge of Hashem will fill the earth, that is only something that the Rambam leaves and brings at the end of Hilchos Malachim. He doesn't bring it in Hilchos Tshuva. Meaning, so the Rebbe says, Ki gam lacher klos in Hilchos Tshuva. Ad l'tachsa shleimus teshuva, because even after the general halachas of Tshuva, until you've reached the ultimate perfection of Tshuva, that is what it's speaking about in Hilchos Tshuva, the ultimate perfection of Tshuva. That's still only Kimol haaretz de'es Hashem. But past that, when you've gone beyond that already, and you've gotten to the end of the Rambam, then yeshna ilui noisav kamayim liyom machasim. Then there's an additional quality that is the waters cover the sea. This, by the way, this point that the Rebbe is going to explain in this additional expression of like the waters covers the sea, is actually also going to correspond and is similar to what we actually learned last week in a different Sicha about this type of idea, or was it 2 weeks ago, about the totality of the whole being one with Hashem. Oishei, almost the last paragraph. The explanation of these additional 3 words, like the waters covers the sea. So the Rebbe points out, though sea and water are seemingly identical, like it says in the beginning of Chumash Bereishis, to the gathering of water. Those originally the water covered the entire globe. Then Hashem gathered the water together to make the seas. So the gathering of the water was called the seas. Still in all the Rebbe says, Yesh chiluk beineim, there's a difference between them. Sheyam hu metzias b'fnei atzmei sheyesh leitzir chulu. Sea is already a separate entity. It's not dry land. It has a certain shape to it. It occupies a certain place. It is particular to a certain location. Let's skip over a few lines. The Rebbe brings out different issues in halacha, that there might be differences when it comes to tara in water versus tara in the sea. Not going to get into that now. Let's go to the top of the next page. So being that water is not yet defined to the degree as the sea is defined, so when we say that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem, like the waters, as the waters covers the sea, that means to say, Shemachasim legamri mitziyusay shalayam ad shaloi royim es hayam el es hamayim bilvad. When we say, like the waters covers the sea. So listen to this. There is the sea, which is in existence. Then you have waters covering it, meaning that the sea, which is an entity, is subsumed and bottled within the water, which is like less defined, less entity-like. This means to say, though there must be, and there is an existence of the sea, this existence of the sea is only a part of the promise and what was foretold that the waters will cover the sea. That the existence of the sea is entirely covered over by water. That's why you need to have an existence of the sea. Why? So that we should have something that's an existence. An existence is completely covered over by the water. In English, it doesn't translate well. But in Lashon Kodesh, we say, the pasuk is, the waters to the sea covers. It doesn't say in the pasuk, an alternative way could have said, that the waters cover to the sea, which is the way we translate it. Though the content of both of them is the same, whether you say Mayim Layam Mechasim or we say Mayim Mechasim Layam. So, but still in all, there's a more gishmak, and it makes more sense, the idea of the way the pasuk is said. If we would have the alternative version, and we would say waters cover the sea, so how is the phrase concluded? With the word sea, the existence of the sea. The Elul as opposed to the way the pasuk is actually written, that the waters to the sea cover over. The conclusion is not with mitzias, with existence. The conclusion is with the idea of bittul. That's why the conclusion is with the word mechasim, it covers. The idea behind this is yam koy al mitzias abriya kula. The sea refers to on the entire existence of creation. That's where it's an analogy, right? Let's go back to the pasuk. The earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem. To what degree? Just like waters cover the sea. So in the metaphor, the sea is the earth, and the water that covers the sea is the knowledge of Hashem that covers the earth. So therefore, sea in the mashal is referring to the entire existence of the creation. Until the perfection that was at the beginning of creation. These are the histories of the heavens and the earth when they were created, that then at the beginning of creation they were ultimately perfect. That is what the sea is representing, the creation, the earth and the heavens in its most perfect state. But beyond the perfection of the world that was at the beginning of creation, now we're going to have the knowledge of Hashem fill it. Now we're going to have the waters cover it. Well, also, now when Moshiach comes, the perfection will be a much higher one. The entire existence of creation, which is the level of sea, will be completely nullified, subsumed, and covered over by mayim in the water. It indicates the total lack of a separate existence for itself. Inyan habitul, the idea of nullification and abnegation. Upshita, and it's a given, it's obvious. It'll be nullified all untoward things that are connected with the materiality of the world. Even those things involved with the materiality of the world will become covered over by the sea. Even more so, Mayim koi al Torah. We know water is referring to Torah. Chazal say, Ein mayim al Torah. Water is only the idea of Torah. Now, the Torah specifically that's going to cover the sea, meaning that's going to cover the world when Moshiach comes, specifically is the Torah of the future time. Yes, we could say it includes also the Torah of Mashiach's times. Not that it excludes the Torah from now, but it also includes the future Torah, Torah Chadash Meditates, the new Torah that will come out from it. Which is the Yam Mechusa Begili the Torah Mayim. In the future, the existence of the entire creation, which is in the metaphor called the sea, will be covered with the revelation of Torah, which again, in the metaphor used over there in that pasuk in Yeshaya, that is water. Now, in the beginning of the Sicha, we spoke about that Mashiach's times, Yom Kippur, Purim, it's all about the spirituality being here in the physical world, and even more so, seeing the advantage of the physical. The Rebbe is now going to connect it to what we just now said about Kamayim Liyom Mechasim. Yesh Lahoisiv, we get to add, Shagam Kamud Geshes Maal Sagashmis Dafke, also over here is emphasized the quality and the advantage of the physical. Sha'ilu the Kamayim Liyom Mechasim, that this advantage, that the knowledge of Hashem will be like the waters covering the sea. Yum Shechviz Galab and Metzias Diyash Hagashmi will be drawn down and become revealed in the existence of the physical Yesh. Kivin Shaz Yis Galam, because then it'll become revealed Shemitzius Shal Yesh Hagashmi Hiyam Metzias Shal Yesh Hamiti, that the existence of the physical Yesh, what is its true existence? Its true existence is the Yesh, Hashem's being, Hashem's existence. Like he says in the parentheses, like it's brought down the Amarim of the Middle Rebbe. In other words, we think of our existence as being something separate from Hashem. The truth is, the physicality of our world is really a mirror and really a manifestation of the Yesh HaAmiti of Hashem. Kimerum is being in Amayim Metzias Gashmi, like it's hinted in the idea of water, which is a physical existence. Alongside with the idea that water is a physical existence. So now he's going to go back to the ideas that he spoke about, that we skipped earlier, about the idea of a mikveh. They had the water has the capability. It can even become a wellspring, and we know a wellspring can make something that's impure pure, even with a tiny amount. An actual built mikveh needs to have a measure of 40 saw, but a mayon, a wellspring, can be metayer even with a little bit. When they had to be metayer in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, vessels had to be tired and so on. So if you had to be metayer, let's say a pin, you could use a drop of wellspring water as long as it was still connected to the wellspring, and that would make it tired. Nikuda achas, which a drop indicates that's 1 point. Since this point covers over the entire existence, because that's what we're saying water is about. The water of Mashiach's times indicates the idea of the covering of godliness and the knowledge of Hashem of all existence. The last paragraph on the page, in addition to the advantage that the waters will cover the sea concerning the general creation, because the Rebbe says in a footnote that it says that the earth, that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem. Earth refers to everything on the earth, even non-Jews, like it says earlier. The Rebbe brings, the Rambam explains earlier that even all the nations will serve him as one. But still in all, Yitvasef Eitzel B'nai Yisrael Ilu Godel Oid Yoser. By the Yidden it will be added an even greater advantage. Like the Rambam wrote, Yisrael Chachamim Gedolim Chulu. Therefore, Yidden will be great sages. K'maimer Chazal said, Sha'akadosh Baruch Hu Oisel Lahem L'tzadikim V'amech Kulam Tzadikim Knafayim Chulu V'shatim Al Pnei Hamoyim, that Hashem will make for tzadikim, like it says, all your nation are tzadikim. He'll make them wings, and they will they will fly over the waters. Hainu Shemitziyusam Shal Yisrael. The Yidden's existence will be even higher than this water that covers the sea. They will be flying over the water. How come? They will be completely one with Hashem's very essence. This is a point we mentioned also in last week's Sicha. Yisrael v'kutzbrichu Yidden and Hashem are entirely one. Even higher in the way that the Zohar brings down that the Torah and Hashem are one, the unity of Yidden and Hashem is a greater unity than the Torah is with Hashem. Since the Yidden are higher than Torah. That all of them, men, women, and children, become one being with Hashem's very essence, because they are part of Hashem above Mamish. Because the essence, when you grasp a portion of it, you grasp all of it. So Yidden are a portion of Hashem. It's like the whole Hashem. This portion of Hashem, that you have the entirety of Hashem in it, is drawn down and becomes revealed in the physical body until they become one flesh. That his very being of the Eibishter becomes one with the whole Klal Yisrael and every individual Yid. Now, interestingly enough, since we're talking about Torah, the Rebbe is also going to bring this connection also with the conclusion of the Torah. So he says, we can connect it with the conclusion of the written Torah. It says, Le'einei kol Yisrael, before the eyes of all the Jewish people. We said just before in the previous ice, Shemayim koyal gamal Torah delasalavi. When it says the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem, like the waters covering the sea, it's also referring to the waters of Torah of Moshiach's times. Torah chadash miti teitzei, a new Torah will come out from me. Umechidushim the Torah chadasha shelimudei yeh ba'ifin shel re'iyah. One of the novelties that's brought down, that's going to be in the Torah, the new Torah that's going to be when Moshiach comes, is that it will be in a way of we will see. It'll be beyond understanding. The famous story about the Arizal, that the Arizal was able in Aliyas HaNeshama, that he had one Shabbos afternoon, he was able to see in his learning above something that would take him 80 years speaking in this world and explaining and so on. In a similar vein, Chassidus explains that how will Moshiach teach Torah to the whole Klal Yisrael? And he will teach Torah to the Avos of Moshe Rabbeinu that have been studying Torah for 3,000 years or more in Gan Eden. What will Moshiach share with them? He will share with them a level of Torah that will be in a way of showing them, not just explaining, etc. Shal Yoda, that we know that the idea of seeing, through seeing, we know seeing is believing. Nas is tachlis haisamtus. The total verification comes about when a person studies Torah in a way of or b'chlal, whenever he knows something, but not in a way of understanding, but he knows it in a way of vision. That's also the idea of before the eyes of all Yidden. The entire Torah permeates the being of the Yidden in a way of vision. Le'enei kol Yisrael, to the eyes of all the Yidden. Ule'enei kol Yisrael, to the eyes of all Yidden. Hanoshim v'noshim v'taf b'shavim mamish, men, women, and children totally equally. Like was mentioned earlier in a part that we skipped over, this is a revelation of a level that's totally beyond any type of division. Let's skip over a little bit to the second paragraph on this page. We could add Kivin Shekvar Nistaimu Kola and Yonan Maseno, the same since we already concluded all the matters of our actions and service, that the Friedrich Rebbe said that was already concluded even to shine, to polish the buttons, which it seems to be something that the Rebbe said. The Friedrich Rebbe said that we don't, all that's left is to polish the buttons. And the Rebbe said we're done polishing the buttons, but the Rebbe identifies himself completely with the Friedrich Rebbe. And we're standing ready, like it says, Imdu hachin kulchem, all of you should stand ready and prepared. It's a lashon that actually the Friedrich Rebbe says in one of his letters, Geulah mitzvah shlema, to the true and complete redemption. Bevadai, surely so. Shemadibur b'chol inyanam elu, from speaking about all these things. Boim la ma'isa b'poyel mamish, take it from yad mamish, that we actually come to this in action immediately. Until a moment after we finish speaking, we can point with our finger. We point with our fingers and says, like it says by Kriyas Yamsov, by Zekelim Aveu, Hine David Malka Mashiach, behold, here is the King Moshiach. And we'll just skip over to the last paragraph. In additional to all the things that I spoke about giving over, giving out the shlichus tzedakah, actually let's go to Isches, 3 paragraphs from the end. And we will conclude like it's usual with making everybody, appointing them messengers for tzedakah. In other words, the Rebbe is giving them out money, dollars to give out to tzedakah, from all those present to all of those that are present over here, and they will influence those that they have influence over. So the people here that are receiving the dollars for tzedakah should influence others that they have any type of influence upon, that those others should increase in tzedakah. And tzedakah is so great that it brings the Geulah closer. Should take from Yad Mamish, Yotzim Ma'Golos, Kol B'nei Yisrael, Anoshim V'Anoshim V'Taf, that immediately we go out of the exile, all Yidden, men, women, and children. Like it says, by Gulas Mitzrayim, with our youth and our elderly and our sons and our daughters. So we come with the clouds of heaven, to our holy land, we fulfill the command. Judges and officers you will place for you in all your gates. Will return your judges as at first, and your advisors as initially, the beginning. An additional, and that's primary. He points with his finger and he says this. Hine David Malka Mashiach, behold, here is the King Moshiach. Hine Shefta'eich v'Yitzayich. Behold, here are your judges and advisors. V'hine kol b'nei Yisrael, and behold, here are all the Jewish children, Jewish people. Hanoshim v'anoshim v'taf, men, women, and children, mikol hadoros, from all the generations. V'alachas kam v'kam v'dereinu zeh, how much more so this generation. Doir ha'achrin shel ha'golos, the final generation of the exile. Shesiyim hamshachas ha'alef aluf shaloylam b'Geulah. This final generation of the exile is the one that concluded the drawing down of the Aleph, referring to the master of the world, into the word Geulah, exile, from our doing this, from our concluding this drawing down of the Aleph. So we have transformed the word Geulah, exile, into Geulah, redemption, like we said, take from Yad Mamish. immediately, he did not delay them even for an eye blink, with joy and gladness of heart.